so what I'm saying here is we can't suppress feelings forever. A little bit's fine and is kind of neuroprotective, but in the long run, we have to actually update ourselves with our present reality, feel what we need to feel, let those brain chemicals flush and move, because at the end of sadness often comes relief. We can't feel that relief and that joy and love and connection or compassion unless we feel the sadness. We can't skip the sadness, right?
Yeah.
So that's just kind of a little example of how it can be neurologically really quite destructive and difficult and debilitating to suppress what we're feeling. And that emotional suppression or even shyness or being afraid of feeling or judging ourselves or feeling embarrassed for feeling what we feel, that can really impact the sounds our body makes and the senses that we feel and the sensory conflict and sensory distortions.
But when we resist or compress or suppress those thoughts, it tends to make them worse and they get stuck in us. And there's something about like feeling them fully and embracing them that lets them move through you much of the time, right?
Yeah, and I talk about this in the book because when we resist them, we're actually telling the brain. So we're basically the CEO of our inner world. Like, we're telling our brain what's important, what's not important, which guys and girls are spunky and sexy. And, like we're on the lookout all the time. And this is part of our survival mechanisms as human beings. And anxiety is actually what's kept us safe and has protected us from, say, tigers and violence. So it has a healthy place. So what we need to do when we take control and take power back of our inner world, we need to actually teach the brain that those tinnitus noises or those sadness feelings or those vertigo and dizziness feelings or anxiety feelings, they're all normal and safe. They're false alarms. They're not true life-threatening situations or triggers. And when we're resisting and fighting them, I'll just use the example of tinnitus. The same goes for dizziness. If I wake up every day and like, oh my God, is it there? Is it there? Is it there? Okay, I've got to take my pill. I've got to use my device. I've got to talk about it. I've got to tell my friends. I've got to go to a doctor. I've got to book another appointment. All of those behaviors and thoughts and words are telling the brain, this is super abnormal. It's a problem, right? Your brain doesn't actually speak English. So all the brain gets is, Joey wants to focus on this. She loves her tinnitus. I'm going to help her out and put more neural power there and make it louder so she can hear it better because she's really into this tinnitus. It's like all she's thinking about. So if Joey wants to hear it, I'll help her. More neural allocation over there. Let's make it louder. So my brain helps me to focus on it by making more of it, right? So when we resist something and put emotional allocation into it, which is often fear and hatred, the brain responds by going, you're super into that, so I'll give it more neural energy. And if you reverse that to, it's no big deal, whatever, I'm super neutral about it, I have no emotion attached to it, the brain's like, meh, she's not interested, so I'm not going to put more neural activity there. I'll put more neural activity to where Joey's focusing, which might be connecting to her friends and creating a new band. She wants to make a new band, so I'm going to start putting all my neural emphasis onto finding musicians. So like we teach our brain what to emphasize and what to make louder. And that, I often say to my OCD clients, use it. Like having an obsessive compulsive tendency can be used for incredibly helpful outcomes if we start focusing obsessively on calm or peace or love or connection, whatever is your new normal, which is the title of the last chapter in my book. We're moving towards building a new normal. That's where we want to go.
Yeah.
If I know my new normal is to feel relaxed in my body, to feel at peace in myself, to feel emotional regulation, we can obsess over that and make that our focus, and your brain will actually respond. Patanjali, supposedly, but no one really knows. He talks about, this is thousands of years ago, millennia, he talks about avoidance. We are wired to avoid pain. We're wired to avoid discomfort, and we're wired to crave and seek, sex, drugs, rock and roll, and pleasure. And so a huge part of yoga is developing equanimity and to not be kind of victim to circumstance, to what our sensory world is bombarding us with.